Hello everyone, it's Nam, and it's absolute pleasure to have Professor Amanda White from UTS, the University of Technology, Sydney here with us. So Amanda, I love your work, I love your YouTube channel. So it's Amanda Love to Audit. Please check out her channel, and it's super helpful, and I think your effort to connect, to support your student is absolutely second to none. So I do have a few questions here today.
Of course.
So the first one is, lots of students here, they would like to do a business degree, but they're lost. And what is your advice on,
They would not be alone. I teach first year introductory accounting in the Bachelor of Business at UTS to over 2,400 students a year. And most of them come in going, I don't know what I want to do. I know I'm interested in business, I'm interested in making money, I'm interested in the business world, but I'm not sure where I'm going to fit within that whole space. And so at UTS, our first year, if you come in as part of a direct entry into a first year program, then you get to try everything. A bit of accounting, finance, management, economics, statistics, marketing, so that you can figure out which of these am I interested in, because we might see something on television, we might see something on YouTube and think that sounds good, but immersing ourselves in that subject is the way that we help students make those choices. And besides getting to try everything, students get to interact with their peers, so students who are 1 or 2 years ahead of them, and those students can often provide a lot of insight into how do they make their choices. On top of that, usually in our spring semester, it would be our July to November semester, we have a whole week of festivities, of clubs and societies talking about here are the career paths with our majors. We also have industry come in, we have alumni come in, you can consult with an academic. And so there's this festival of choice to help you figure out what are the options available to you. And sometimes students don't even think, oh, well, I'm interested in finance, but I found out that I can really get into sustainability and finance together. Or I'm interested in marketing and statistics, which might mean marketing and business data analytics might be a good choice. So we have lots of activities, and besides those activities at that specific time of year, then there's always chances to ask a teacher, to ask a careers counsellor. We have a really extensive network of people to help give students advice and guide them in that process. And even if you make the wrong choice, and you start something and think, I don't think this is me, then there's always ways to find a path forward, change your mind, figure out where you need to go. You're not stuck in stone. There's lots of flexibility.
Try and error. Yes.
Sometimes you've got to try things to realize what does and doesn't work.
Definitely. So to the students who, not sure what is the business major you want to go for, so engage the students older than you, some senior students with the teacher, and lots of resources at the university. So you have the career counselor, and then the teacher, and so much resources.
Absolutely.
So the second question, so UTS degree, especially business degree, given that the student have the ability to the flexibility to
take a double major,
to tailor
yeah.
So what's your point, what's your advice on what sub-major, what electives they can go for?
Okay, so what is most popular with students is 2 majors.
Yes.
So, they might be interested in 2 things, marketing and analytics, accounting and finance, economics and human resources. So double majors are really popular if you know that you want to go deep into 2 specific areas. But there's also lots of options. So you have to choose a major. So from 2025, we should be offering business data analytics as a first major. But then you might think, I'm interested in a little bit of accounting and a little bit of marketing, in which you could do 2 sub-majors along with your major. Or you might think, actually, I want to do something really different. I am interested in marketing. I know that accounting is going to be important, so I'm going to do a marketing major, an accounting sub-major, but I'm really interested in fashion. Maybe you might take some electives from design and architecture. You might have loved chemistry as a high school student, so you could take some electives, even something in a language. So there's abilities to have flexibility, and that also means that you might start a major, get halfway and go, I don't love this as much as I thought I would. which can happen, in which case then if you're halfway, you turn that full major into a sub-major, and then you pick something else to go with it. So there's always a way to make it work depending on what you're interested in. And some students have very specific career objectives. For example, students who want to go into investment banking.
Yes.
Then we know the combination is accounting and finance. And so they just go really deep and heavy into those subjects. But where students maybe are not quite sure, they like a few different things, they pick one to go deep as a major, and then some others to go into sub-majors, or think, oh, actually, maybe I'm going to try the elective option.
Yes.
And that also means that you can include internships.
Yes.
So within most majors and a lot of our sub-majors, there's the ability to do an internship as part of your program. And as a student from Vietnam, you could do that internship in Australia, or you could decide to come home over a summer or a winter break and do an internship here in Vietnam as well. So there's no restriction on where you might do your internship.
So as long as the student still, very interested, so passionate about finding what they would love to do.
All you got to do is ask, and then there's always going to be somebody like me to help give you that support and give you that advice.
Beautiful. So back in 2020, you did a research paper and you mentioned that your approach back then, and still I think now, is to build a community sense of belonging, sense of community for the students. Why is that so important?
Yeah, so this comes out of a piece of research by Professor Sally Kift around transition pedagogy, which means that when you come to university, it's such a new environment. It's not like high school. It might not be like the university in the country that you came from. So no matter where you start, coming to university is brand new for everybody, even if you've been to university before. So helping you transition from wherever you were to where you need to be an effective student, a great learner to achieve your objectives is really important. And belonging underpins all of that. Yes. And I talk to students about, especially here in Vietnam, everybody loves Blackpink.
Yes.
Right? And so when you love Blackpink, you feel like on Instagram, on TikTok, on Discord, on WeChat, that you're part of this community because you have something in common. And you see you might be traveling in a different country and you see someone in a Blackpink t-shirt and you think, I have something in common with these people. And so belonging is important because it helps you feel like part of a community. And for me, especially, that relies on building trust. So when I was a student a long time ago, probably before all of your students were ever born, and probably before you were born, we just trusted professors because they're professors.
Yes.
We just had trust in authority figures. A lot of young people now go, well, why should I trust you? How do we do that? And so when you look at social media, you look at TikTok and Instagram, we have to think about how we build trust in a digital age.
Yes.
Because trust is the foundation for learning. If we don't trust each other, you're not going to believe anything I say. You're not going to believe my advice on how to study or what techniques might work for you or career pathways. So building trust helps us build the foundation for learning. And when you trust me and you take my advice, I listen to your advice. So it's a two-way street. You say, Amanda, we did this activity in class and I think it was too hard. Or the instruction in the homework was not clear. If we're engaging in that mutual respect and that trust, then we have engagement. And when we have engagement with students, then we get learning.
Yes.
And we want students to enjoy learning, right? And a lot of times when I was quite young, the fear of failure drives hard work. But I don't want my students to learn in an environment where they're worried about failing. I want them to learn in an environment where they're having the joy of learning, because if you're enjoying yourself while you're learning, you're more likely to retain that information 2 weeks from now, 10 weeks from now. When I talk to students who maybe are from 20 years ago, my students from 20 years ago, and I say, do you remember a story about fried rice? All of my students were, audit programs, because we've used storytelling and we've used emotion and trust to build joy in learning.
Yes.
Right? And you play in a video game and you get to a new level and you're like, yes. That's the feeling we want for learning, what I aim to build across all of our programs at UTS.
Yes.
and we want students to just come and love their experiences.
Beautiful. Check out her video on about the fried rice on YouTube.
Yeah, so I think we were going to talk about hybrid and blended learning next,
Absolutely,
right?
yes, that's the
So the world has changed, and probably, you would see university on American television, and it's some old white guy standing up the front telling you things.
Yes.
But you can get that anywhere. Knowledge is available everywhere, and when I'm lecturing, which I don't like to do, students are learning at the speed at which I lecture. So if you really understand the material, you're going to be fine. If you already know this, you're going to be bored. And if you don't understand or you don't learn as fast as other people, which is fine, that has nothing to do with how smart or how dumb you are as to how fast you learn, then you're going to fall behind. You're going to get disengaged, and you're going to feel like, oh, I can't do this. I feel so silly. I must be dumb. And so blended learning allows us to help guide the students at a pace that works for them. Students who already know a lot of material can watch my videos at 1.5 speed. I don't mind. Students who are struggling might rewind, right? The number of times I've tried to learn something on YouTube and I've missed a bit and I've had to go back and rewind.
It's absolutely fine doing that.
Right, that's absolutely fine doing that. So blended learning is designed to provide you with the best of online learning, which allows you to learn a bit and check your knowledge, and learn a bit and check your knowledge, and then come to class. And we use class time is so precious. So we want to do things where you work together, where you learn, where you have that high of getting the right answer, walking through a problem with support of the teacher. So we take relatively manageable content online, and then you come to class and we level you up that one more step that you couldn't do alone, but you can do working with your peers and with the support of the teacher. And that's really our approach at UTS, is we want to take advantage of technology. And that means that I'm doing some really interesting stuff at the moment. A lot of times when I've been to schools and I say ChatGPT, students are like, oh, don't mention it, teachers think we're cheating. But ChatGPT and generative AI is not going away. And so at UTS, we're really leaning into how can we use ChatGPT to help students? What are ways that we can teach them to use it that's effective? Because it doesn't always tell us the right thing. I'm in the process of building some study tools for students to help them get support outside of times when we're not available. And, we're testing it to make sure it is telling you the right information. But, great universities are leaning in. We're not avoiding generative AI. We're looking at how can we use it to help students learn? And then how can we use it to make sure that we pick up students who might be struggling academically and then providing them with tailored advice unique to their situation.
Yes. So I've read a lot of researches. They say that, from the research, ChatGPT going to transform the job in the future. So lots of things that, students will need to take advantage of it. We'll need to know how to use it.
Exactly.
And effectively.
And we're looking at how do we build that into accounting education, finance education, marketing.
Yes.
Every part of business, science, technology, communications is going to be affected. And so we've got to figure out, how do we teach that to students? How do we give them access to industry partners who are using new tools and developing new tools so that when they go out there, they're work ready?
Yes, beautiful. Golden nugget. Thank you, Professor Amanda White.
Thank you so much, Carl, for having me. Of course, if you're always welcome to reach out to me as well. Search Amanda Loves to Audit on Instagram. I welcome students to DM me, and you can see what life is like at UTS. It's not the marketing glossy stuff, but it's the real life of what happens every day with our clubs, our societies, and our students. So, bye.